Good morning. This is Dina Marie of Faith Moments, and today I'm visiting with my good friend David Phillips. He is out at St. Mary's Catholic Church in Eugene, Oregon. I just realized that David Phillips has been working with St. Mary's about as long as modern day radio has been on the air, 34 years. And what a great gift to the music department there at the parish. Good morning, David. Thanks for joining me today.
Good morning, Dina. It is so good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's great that we can be able to see each other, even by utilizing things like Zoom. And I wanted, when I heard about your latest book, The Kingdom of the Island Sea, book one, spoiler alert, it's a cliffhanger. The Mysterious Lighthouse, I needed to know more. And so because I know so much about your music, the beautiful world that you bring us to in terms of storytelling, you're kind of like a John Williams of the Catholic Church when it comes to music and being able to bring, I think, the mystery to life. And I wanted you to just share a little bit about your music background, just how you've been able to use the gift of music, not only in the church, but also just to bring stories to life.
Well, I grew up in Southern California, and I always wanted to do music. In the Catholic schools that I went to as a child, I was in the boys' choir, loved singing for Mass, um, loved playing the piano. I didn't get piano lessons. We had a broken down upright piano in our garage, and when it rained, the rain would fall on the piano through the roof, and the keys would swell, and I'd have to wait a few days until the swelling of the keys went down. But I wanted music so badly, and so I just kept at it, and eventually got my music degree and was working in parishes in Southern California for 20 years as music director before we moved our family up here to Eugene.
And you've been with St. Mary's ever since, living the life.
Ever since. It was wonderful. I don't know if you remember Father Scott Vandehay at St. Mary's. He was the person that hired me there, and I've just had a wonderful time at St. Mary's ever since.
Wow. David Phillips with us, a music director at St. Mary Church in Eugene, but also author, screenwriter, filmmaker, director, producer. I mean, it's just fun to see the use of the creative arts. And it sounds like that's really was the origin of this book. The Kingdom of the Island Sea was the beautiful music. That's what I remember from David Phillips when I learned about you was gentle spirit music, the Hanson family singers, this beautiful instrumental music that we would air on KBVM to just really help to meditate, to pray, to be in more of a contemplative mode and to let our imaginations grow. Tell us about the music behind the Kingdom of the Island Sea.
Okay, and it's the Kingdom of the Inland Sea.
Of the Inland Sea.
You had it so close. It was all good. So this book started out as a piece of music, Mysterious Lighthouse at the Edge of the Inland Sea. And so people can listen to my music on Spotify or Google Music or YouTube, or whatever. If they go to Spotify or one of those places, my logo is Music for the Imagination. But if they'd like to hear the original piece of music, Mysterious Lighthouse at the Edge of the Inland Sea, it's available and you can listen to it for free. And so as I work on a piece of music, you have to listen to it over and over and over. More strings, less brass, that kind of thing. So as I was mixing the final tracks, I was seeing this lighthouse on the cliff of this inland sea. And I thought, this is an interesting thing. So as I would listen to this over and over, this image of the lighthouse just started percolating in my mind. And I thought, now who would live in that place? And, the characters were born: Jake, uh, a 20-something-year-old. He's kind of a jerk. You know, he
Mhm.
starts out as a self-important jerk, and there had to be a bad guy. And so who would be his friends? And so the characters took on a life of their own. And I just started following these characters and what would happen. And so the book is a story of uh, Jake's progress. He does kind of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. His progress towards being somebody that can save the kingdom of the inland sea.
Mhm. I love the book. When I learned about it, David, first I bought the book on Amazon for my husband for his birthday, which is right around Christmas. So it was a Christmas birthday gift. And my husband loves to read sci-fi stories, particularly, but I think kind of entering into the fantasy world, Lord of the Rings, Chronicles of Narnia. I mean, I was hoping that a dragon would come into the story, maybe later. But all of that.
Ah, Dina Marie,
Mm.
you are psychic. I'm
Oh,
telling you, in book 2, Solange, we are going to have a dragon.
oh, I'm so glad. I just was thinking, oh, there has to be a
You're good.
dragon. So,
You're good.
okay,
Yes.
I'm feeling better all the time. And then I finally got the book in my hands and I've read it, David, and I love it. And what I love is that I can visualize what's going on. I mean, you give us a map, just like the Hobbit, the Lord of the Rings. You've got those maps to take you from place to place. Talk about the layers, because there's layers of imagination, there's characters, there's their history, there's where do they go, the room. I mean, all of that is part of creativity.
Yes. Well, each one of these characters, they all have a backstory. So Jake's backstory is that he was engaged and he swept out of his world, his modern world, into this kingdom of the inland sea. And he's taking all of his baggage with him. Every one of the characters that Jake encounters, they all have a backstory. And little by little, I'm trying to drop breadcrumbs on each of these characters so that the reader enjoys the characters as they meet them. But some people would say, well, Sereth, let's say, the girl from the tavern, the pub that he encounters, we don't see her that much, but they all have a role in book 2. So many of these characters, they've got threads going all over the place. They've got a backstory, but hopefully they will coalesce at the end of this first book so that you can see progress of some of the characters and wonder about some of the other characters.
Yeah,
There's a bad
absolutely.
guy in there, Mortist, um, and it will be explored. Why is he a bad guy? What's wrong with him? You know, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Again, we're talking with David Phillips. He's the music director in Eugene at St. Mary Catholic Church. The book is book 1 of a series. Book 2 is coming soon. I understand The Kingdom of the Inland Sea, The Mysterious Lighthouse. There's a great, I mean, the cover, and that's an interesting thing when you put a book together. There's always the cover that catches somebody's attention. And what I love about your book, David, is it's very local. As I look in the book, edited by Amy Phillips. Boy, is she related to you? And then the cover by Michael Hansen, part of the lovely Hansen family that we love from St. Mary. So there, you've been able to bring in the community, your own family and friends in the Catholic Church to help with this. Talk a little bit about how the community at St. Mary's has been part of this imagination, inspiration, vocation.
Um, we have a wonderful community at St. Mary's, and I get to work with a lot of wonderful people. Um, musicians, of course, but the parishioners are just great. And yes, Amy is my daughter-in-law, Amy Phillips, edited. And yes, Michael Hansen, he and I have worked together for so many years on covers and artwork. I had a couple of people at St. Mary's go through my manuscript when I was finished with it. And Father Ron Nelson, who is also an author, I had him go through it, and he gave me some very good critical comments that made me really think about some of the things that I had in the book and the direction I was trying to go for. And so those were very valuable comments, also from Amy and a couple other people at St. Mary's. So just have a great network at St. Mary's of good people to work with and bounce ideas off. And, you know, in the other things that I've done, the Gronk the Blade that Father Mark Bachmeyer was in, the Devotion Chronicles, which so many of our parishioners were in those films. Just a great group.
It is so much fun. And I just want to encourage our listeners that you can go to Sword and Sandal Film Productions. You can just search for David Phillips at YouTube, Gentle Spirit Music, or like you said, the music of David Phillips, to get access to the audio and then some of the amazing, they're fun films. Okay, this isn't my Star Wars, but there's such a delight. I think God wants us to delight in the gifts that he's given us to share. I'm talking with David Phillips at St. Mary Catholic Church. David, I want to ask you a couple more questions, but we're coming to a break. Hold on the line, and we're going to continue our conversation in the next half hour.